Hi and welcome to Section C, Exercise 27 of What Can I Paint Next Art Course. In this one, I'm just going to carry on doing the 5 senses, the imagery, bringing it into a painting. And we're going to be concentrating on landscape. And I had a think about this one and I was thinking, right, I can get a lot of the senses into a landscape, but the one that I'm really going to struggle with is taste. And I thought I can force it and I can get quite corny and cliche and a bit twee with this so that it becomes almost like an advertising hoarding rather than an actual painting. So I've decided to concentrate on the senses that you would actually be using in a landscape. I think a taste is very much more of an intimate thing, a close-up thing, rather than a long view thing. So it was difficult to try and get that in. The reason I'm saying this is because the landscape I've gone for is a lavender field. I've visited lavender fields in the past. At the moment it's coming into winter. There is no lavender fields. So what I'm having to do is actually draw on different sources. I've used sources from the internet and I'm not copying any of them. Here are a couple of examples of sources off the internet, and these are like the top few, so you can find them really easily. But I want to use cloud formations and skies that I've collected myself in photographs, and then I'm going to use just 1 point perspective to get that idea of lavender going to a vanishing point, and then use all the information from lots of sources on the internet to actually construct my own version of it. So it's lavender fields, but imaginary lavender fields, and then I'm going to just do bits of lavender at the front. So it's going to be more of an exploration of the materials. I'm going to have another go with the palette knife as well. I really enjoyed doing the sailing one with the palette knife. So it's an exploration of the materials and colour. And hopefully that the colour of lavender will actually evoke the smells, and in some cases people might go, oh, taste it. Some people might taste lavender buns or anything, but it's the smell of lavender that I'm going for. So with all that in mind, I'm going to have a look at the planning sheet. And here we have exercise 27 planning sheet. The statement, what am I communicating? Communication, I'm looking at the colour, the beauty and the formation of the lavender in the field, the way it goes into the distance. So exploration, I'm going to be exploring with the colour, the different purples, the materials. I'm going to have another go with the palette knife, and I'm also going to write down about 1 point perspective and the vanishing point, just as a reminder of what I was actually exploring, what was in my head when I look back at this planning sheet. The subject's going to be a field of lavender with my various sources from all over the internet. I'm going to use my own sky and my own imagination to do the field in. So, the 5 senses. What can I see? I can see the lavender field. Lavender in the field. I can hear sounds of the countryside maybe. I'm going to be doing like a moving clouds, so maybe the wind. Smell, lavender. That's a really easy one. Now taste, I'm just going to put a little dash there because I could very easily have sort of started saying, right, okay, well, I'll put a taste of, I don't know, lavender water or a lavender cake or something and have it on a plate on a table in the middle of the lavender field. And I thought, do you know what? That's getting a bit silly now. So I'm just sticking with the exploration of the lavender and hope that people make their own connections with it. So taste, maybe nothing, maybe lavender, I'm just going to leave that. And feel, a summer day, happiness. Maybe the breeze or the wind, just the air of a sunny day. So hopefully that gives me enough. I'm going to do some practicing with the palette knife in the colours to get my lavender colour right on the next page. Just to have a play with it and also to see if I can get the lavender flowers using the palette knife before I go on to the painting. So I'll get on with that and I'll see you in a bit. And here we have the final lavender piece. I wanted to keep this one as simple as possible. A really simple vanishing point, and just concentrate on the colour and evoking the smell of lavender. As I touched on before, as things like taste and feeling, things like that, hopefully they sort of drop in within each person, but sometimes you've just got to concentrate on the really obvious one that's hitting you in the face, and that is the smell and the colour of lavender. If I'd have started trying to squeeze in anything else, I don't think it would have worked as well. I've just kept it really simple, because there's one thing that you think about when you think of lavender. Well, there's two things that you think about, and that's the smell and the colour. So I used those two things to try and capture the smell and the colour in one painting. Hopefully I've managed that. I tried to sort of bring the colours all the way through the sky as well. So this actually doesn't exist. This image doesn't exist anywhere. This is completely made up. And I just used sources to get colour matches and how the plant grows, each flower. So I studied lavender as a whole to inform my own version of it. And that's sometimes a really good thing to do. And that is really the end of the 3 exercises on the 5 senses and imagery. And I think it opens up the possibilities for you. You start to see what you can achieve when you start trying to communicate feelings, trying to communicate imagery, senses, an actual place with things other than just what you can see. There's more to it than just what colour is it. It's what colour, what texture, what shape. This is where the fundamentals that you've learnt become tools for your language rather than the finished product of the language. They're like the words, the sentence structure, the paragraphs, so that when somebody else comes to read it, they understand it. It's all starting to fit together. In the last 3 exercises, I'm going to go full out now, and I'm going to push the boundaries of what I think is possible with paint to such an extent that I don't do it very often. I don't think I can do it justice. There are people out there that really can put down everything in this type of painting, and that is abstraction. And I'm going to try and relate it to poetry, and that is using one way of communicating to give a bigger picture. In poetry, they give words and of a small image to give a bigger picture. In abstraction, they give small or the use of colours and fundamentals and tone and everything to give a bigger picture. Hopefully that will make sense once we get into it. But I thought, no, let's not mess around with literary devices anymore. Let's go full whack and see if we can actually do a full abstract painting with meaning and communication, and you really throwing yourself into it and understanding why. As I've said right from the beginning, none of this is rules. None of this is me knowing what I'm doing and telling you this is the way it is. It's just things I've found and things that have come to sort of slip into place in my own head. And I thought, if I share that with other people, they can then take the journey on forward. This isn't a finished journey. This is sort of like just opening the door a little bit so that you can take it wherever you want. I'm not saying that I know everything about this. I'm just passing on what I've got so far. So hopefully, when I start to see the work that people do from these exercises, we'll all inspire each other. So with that in mind, we go on to the next exercise, poetry and abstraction. Thanks very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.